to have been asked to moderate this panel, and I'm thrilled because these people are all very good friends of mine. I've known them for a while, and let me introduce everybody to you. First, we have Mr. Harry Waters Jr. Next, Charlie Crowell, who was
Charlie!
for all three movies. Don Fullilove, I think you know
That was Michael J. Fox's stunt triple.
the very, very lovely Claudia Wells.
Yeah!
Then we have Miss Katie Cable.
Yay!
And last but certainly not least, Mr. Johnny Green.
Whoa! Look at him go!
Hey, look at him go. So, all right. So, where do we start? First, Don. What's the capital of Montana?
Billings.
Yeah! You may continue to the next round. All right. Well, let's start with a little introduction of how these people came to Back to the Future. Harry.
Okay. I was on a car and I went into the lot and I went, okay. Yes, audition 1984. I had to sing 36 bars of a song, which I won't sing right now because it'll take up time. And then the next week I got called to meet Bob Zemeckis. We talked about theater for 20 minutes. That's all we did. And then New Year's Eve, I got the call to be Marvin Berry in Back to the Future. That's right.
Charlie, I believe Back to the Future was your first professional job.
No.
Well, I'm wrong.
So I started doing stunts in New York. I worked there for 4 years. Went to California, came to California to do a job for Suzuki. Moved back here a month after that. A month after that, I was hustling sets. Where you go and introduce yourself to the, not sets. There's children here or something. You'd go and you'd introduce yourself to the stunt coordinator on whatever show you knew where they were. So on this, 30 days after arriving, I went to Universal. I found the call sheet. I went to the call sheet room where there were normally 10 different shows lined up on the table. And this day there was one call sheet sitting on the counter. That guy's name was on it. It was from Back to the Future. We were shooting on the back lot, back at Courthouse Square. So I said, well, that's that guy, the coordinator. That's the guy my friend told me to, introduce myself to. So I went to the back lot and I was walking up to him to introduce myself to him. Michael walked off the stage. We walked right up to Max Clevin was his name. We walked up to Max and Mike asked Max if I was going to be his stunt double. And Max looked at me and he looked at him. We're exactly the same size, we looked the same way. He went, yeah. And that was that. 16 years later, I doubled him for his entire career. Wow. So, yeah. But I had done, professional jobs in New York, like Toxic Avenger. No, I didn't. No, I was just starting out. Yeah. So it's not an easy thing to get into. Most of the time when you're just starting out, you're doing all the dirty work. You're dragging the pads, whatever it is. But I got lucky. I came to Hollywood and it all worked out.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, Don.
Oh, Don. Hey, everybody awake still?
Yeah.
One thing about these things, I can tell you, when you're starting to look at people and they're telling you their stories and stuff and you're taking it all in, you're in this whole Back to the Future vibe and you're trying to get it all in, your eyes get a little glazed over. I'm going to make noise. I'm going to be loud. I'm going to require you to laugh. I'm going to require you to respond. All right, now that I'm very loud. Yeah, I did a film, a CBS movie of the week called Scared Straight, Another Story. Oh, yeah. Way back in the olden days of 1980. And it was a film that was based off of a documentary where they take kids into the prison system and have the adults scare them and blah, blah, blah. But the casting director from that particular project happened to be the casting director from Back to the Future. Thank you so much for licking me, Charlotte. So he said, I got a meeting for you. I want you to go to Universal. I want you to meet with these people doing a project. And I went to Amblin Entertainment. And yeah, That was amazing, because that was back in the time when E.T. had just been the biggest thing that ever existed on the planet of anywhere, and Steven Spielberg had Amblin Entertainment, and these big giant gates open up into this compound, and I'm walking in there like, wow. Have a meeting, I talk to them, they talk to me, Steven Spielberg pops his head in and looks at me, I go like, that's Steven Spielberg, Zemeckis. They asked me if I could sing.
Yeah, did they ask you that big question?
That's something that we'll get into later on. I don't like to be long-winded because a lot of us have to speak. But I didn't know how to sing, and I should have said yes. Anyway, long story short, that's how Goldie Wilson came to be.
Goldie Wilson.
Now, Claudia, you had an interesting relationship with this whole beginning of Jennifer. So why don't you give us a little info about that?
Okay, so I had one audition. I read the scene that Lorraine is smoking and drinking in the car with Marty at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. I knew I was auditioning for the girlfriend role, but I hadn't read the script. I wasn't allowed to. And I had one audition with Steven Spielberg, Bob Zemeckis, Bob Gale, Neil Canton, they were all the producers, Kathleen Kennedy, Frank Marshall, Fenton Feinberg, Judy Taylor.
Was there enough room in the...
It was very, very crowded.
Okay, yeah.
And a guy on his 11th callback for Marty. And so we did this scene. I was in there for about 2.5 hours, and most of the time, Steven Spielberg was just talking to me. It was like we were the only two people in the room. And everything he asked me, I kept saying, I'll tell you as long as you promise not to tell my mom. And he promised not to tell my mom. And we had so much fun. It's the only time I ever saw him. But we just had the greatest time. And I wasn't nervous. I was actually nervous because I had a callback for a commercial that afternoon. And I almost never got commercials. TV series and episodics were like, okay, that's fine, I can get that, but commercials not so much. So that was my audition. I got a call 3 weeks later, I got the part.
Okay.
And then, okay, so I was cast when Eric Stoltz was cast, and we did boyfriend-girlfriend pictures at the back lot for his wallet as Marty. Then a pilot I had already done with Ed Asner and Eileen Brennan called Off the Rack got picked up to be a mid-season replacement. It was being shot in front of a live audience at the same time as Jennifer was going to be shot in Back to the Future. ABC refused to share me with Steven Spielberg. Even Ed Asner said, let the kid do a Spielberg film. And for some reason they wouldn't. So I had to back out of my contract because my first commitment had been to ABC. So they recast my role. I'm trying to say this very clearly because it's like all confused all over the internet. So they recast my role. I did the 8 episodes, or 6, whatever it was, of Off the Rack. And then they recast, that was weird. And then they recast Eric to Michael. Once Michael was cast, the girl that they had cast in my part, Melora Hardin, who's tall, they felt she was too tall to play Jennifer. Well, I'm short, and now I'm available, so I got my part back.
And for anybody who missed any part of that story, it's available in Back
What did you say?
Touche!
Oh, in the book? Do you write about that in the book? Wow, why didn't everyone buy his book? We need Google to buy your book.
Yeah, I think I have enough copies.
Okay, he's sitting at the table right next to me. It's a very good book. Thank you for writing that in your book.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
God bless you.
Now, let's move on to Miss Cable. And you were just a little young.
No, I was an
What,
actress
you were
that
26?
close.
No.
I was like Michael Fox. I played way younger. I was always too young to be the girlfriend. And I was at USC where Bob Gale and Zemeckis were graduates. And I was taking a big final, and I told my agent, don't bother me, I've got to get through this final or I'm going to fail the class or whatever. and my pager went off. That's gonna date me right there. I'm 200 years old. My pager went off, and it was my agent's number, and I said to my professor, they know I'm booked out, this has got to be a big emergency. And she said, oh, go, be a star already, leave, you're fine. So I ran out, I called my agent, she said, can you get over to Universal right now? It's a little part, but it's a Spielberg movie and it's going to be big. And I said, yeah, I'm on my way. And I didn't know what it was, so I rolled in, and auditions were never at a studio. I went to the crummiest office buildings in the valley all the time, and I would read for big parts with people that couldn't act and were an assistant and were barely reading the right lines. So this was a drive-on at the Universal Studios lot, and like Dawn said, you entered this compound and it was this big adobe house with E.T. and I just went, oh my gosh, the tram is going by, I'm waving, and so I walked in my big 80s hair and the blue eyeshadow and platform shoes and looking all USC, and I walked over, I opened the door, and on the couch it was like a great room, and Steven Spielberg, who I recognized, and Bob Zemeckis and Neil were on the couch laughing and talking. And I tiptoed over to the reception desk and I said, oh, I'm here for the farm girl or something. And she said, oh, yeah, it's just a short little scene. You're pretending you think you've seen an alien and you scream, shoot and pop. And I said, oh, okay. And then she said, oh, your farm girl audition is here. And they looked at me with my big old hair and everything and said, oh yeah, you're gonna be way too old. This is a little kid. And I just went, no, you're kidding. All I play is little kids. And I said, I've just come from school. Do you mind if I just run in the bathroom before I take off? And oh no, it's the bathroom door is right off of the great room. So I went in and I took off my shoulder pads and jacket and braided my hair and I washed all my makeup off and I peered through the door and I screamed so loud that people were coming in from other offices to see what had happened. And then I just embellished the part. Shoot him, he's an alien, he's getting away. And I just made it a big scene and they laughed and said, okay, you're working next week, we'll call your agent. And I had no idea that, I never saw the script. I just knew it's Spielberg, it'll be a good movie. And when I went and it was a big premiere. It was a lavish big premiere, and I remember going, oh my gosh, this is so great on so many levels. And this is just such a blessing to be here and meet all the castmates. And so whatever's going on in your life, don't give up, because look at all these bizarre things that happen, and this is my God shot. Thank you for being here.
Mr. Green,
Yes, sir.
please illuminate.
Yeah, so it was just a normal Tuesday, and I got out of school, and my mom was like, yeah, get in the van, you're going on an audition. Like Katie said, it drive on to Universal Studios, it was always cool. And I got in the audition room. They said, hey, we want you to look into that television there. We want you to pretend you're seeing some guy doing some cool skateboarding tricks. So, and the line is, wow, look at him go. So that's what I did. I just, saw a guy doing cool tricks in the TV and said the line, and they were like, okay, thank you.
Beautiful. So that's,
I was age appropriate at the time. I was the actual age of the character.
so you didn't have to wash off makeup.
I didn't have to, right, I just winged it. Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Showing up, yeah.
All right, well, that's all the time we have.
How did
Thank
you
you so much
feel?
for So, let's talk about first time. The first time you were on camera for Back to the Future and how it felt. So, Harry, where were you? What scene?
Here, I have
Wow, got double duties.
Okay.
I don't need a mic.
That's right, the theater professor, project.
Theater. So being in the industry for me was still new because I had come from New York and we were doing theater all the time. And it doesn't mean theater on Broadway, it means in cold basements at 4 in the morning, it means in the park, going by the Statue of Liberty in a golf cart. But then coming to LA and going to this thing about Universal, I was doing a play at the time. It was a musical. So I was in shape vocally to go in and do the 1836, however many bars that we had to do it. But I had no idea what the script was. I never saw a script. Even when I got to the scene in the church where we shot it, because everything else had happened, and people were excited about, oh, we're doing a dance. So for me, being on camera, that first moment was the most exciting thing because I did find out it was the first new thing that they were shooting because they had reshot everything before with Michael J. Fox, where they had replaced another actor. So I had no idea what any of that was. And all I know is Michael J. Fox was probably the nicest person you could have in the world.
Yeah.
And I didn't meet anybody else except Leah and Chris at the end of it. But I had so much fun with like the other 4 band members. We were live, the Stormlighters. There's a band, someone had like hold up that drum head. Yes! This is what bands do! Yes! So imagine coming on a set and seeing your character's name on stage. So that was like the most wonderful thing. And that's all I got right now. Good. What was it?
Charlie, your first stunt was something that people will always remember and always been marvel at. So tell us what it was.
Yeah, my first stunt was, they just told me show up set, get dressed, and you're gonna ride that skateboard, and you're gonna get pushed backwards by that car, and you're gonna run up and over the top of that car, and you have to land on the skateboard behind it.
Just an easy day.
Yeah, it really was. No, I was like, okay, that sounds good, I can do all that. It just came to when we come off the back of the car, how do I keep from killing myself? In that direction, and the ground isn't, so, but it all worked out great. We had great support from the crew and the grips.
Do you guys do that at reduced speed?
No, I'm doing that at full speed.
Oh.
I don't ever do anything at half speed. No, we do. We do a lot of stuff at half speed. That wasn't. It was great. We had all the actors in the car, and I worked with them on, trying not to step on them as I went over the top. And it was a successful day for me.
Well, how many times did you have to do it?
I'd say I probably did a couple of times, maybe once or twice. Yeah, and I had a real athletic background, gymnast, raced motorcycles, blah blah blah, all kinds of stuff.
What's
So,
blah, blah, blah?
It's a lot of other stuff that, all kinds of stuff. I mean, we raced motorcycles, raced go-karts. I was a wrestler, always physical. I raced sailboats. We had a really active family. I was always going. Everybody in our family, all the kids. So something like this, my brother and I used to skate around town. That's how we got around when we were kids. We'd skateboard down to the end of the road, wait for the car to go by, we'd skate out, grab a hold of the bumper, and away we went. That's how you did it.
Was Michael there when you did that stuff?
No, just me and my brother. Oh,
No,
when we
no,
did
no.
the run over the car. I don't remember Michael on the skateboard, but you were grabbing our bumpers, but, yeah, Mike was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had to get the shot looking out from Biff's point of view of Mike hanging under the front of the car, which was a platform that was attached to the front of the car he's standing on. So he was there.
Cool.
And at the end, he just said, yeah, that was great, thanks. I said, you're welcome.
Just another day at the office.
Yeah, and then on to the next thing that came up that they wanted me to do. I mean, I was just living a dream. I got so lucky. I stepped into Hollywood 30 days later. I was working with Spielberg and Zemeckis and the whole crowd. It was like, I'd gone to heaven. So, I mean, I didn't know how to take it. That was the thing. I just had to do what they wanted me to do. I wasn't like, wow, starry-eyed and everything else. It would have been overwhelming if I had, actually stopped to realize what the hell was going on in my life at the time. So, it was great.
first day.
This is going to be long. Get ready.
If anyone brought lunch.
Oh, don't forget to laugh, by the way.
This is the laugh cue. I don't remember my first day, actually. I remember, so that little part of Goldie Wilson, when Eric Stoltz was in the film, it took us, I was on set for 4 weeks for that little scene. And Eric was a very deep method actor type guy. We're talking about the first day on the set. All I can remember is what is called craft services and the food. And at that point in my life, you know, I was a hungry actor. And these were the biggest shrimp that I had ever seen in my life. And it blew me away that they're called shrimp and they're that big. That's a whole nother story. But like I said, I don't remember the first day. I just remember being on the back lot. I remember, you know, seeing Steven Spielberg walking around and going, this is the weirdest thing of my life. There's Spielberg right there. And I'm dealing with this Eric Stoltz, and he's telling me that I have to call him Marty. And I'm running around the set calling everybody by their real names, you know, just happy to be there. Cut to the 4 weeks was over, the shrimp were gone, it was close to Christmas time, and I was a little depressed because I was on a big film and I'd already spent the money that I had been paid. And Bob Gale's office gave me a call and says, hey, Don, we've got Michael J. Fox, would you be willing to do everything all over again? I said, no way, man, I'm not doing that over again. Obviously, I'm lying. And we went back and we did it all over again with Michael Fox, and that same time frame that it took 4 weeks to do was completed in about 73 hours with Michael.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, they had burned through millions and millions of dollars with Eric Stoltz, so now it was like, you know, it's do or die time. And we did.
Wow.
But you didn't have to call him Marty.
I didn't have to call him Marty, I called him Mike. I called him Jay Fox.
Yeah.
I called him, what was the character's name on the show? I called it Alex P. Keaton. Yeah.
Claudia?
Okay, so that's interesting because Eric Stoltz used to call my house, and my mother would answer the phone, and he would say, I'd like to speak to Jennifer, please. And my sister's name is Jennifer, and she was living in San Francisco when we lived in Los Angeles. And my mother would say, may I ask who's calling, please? And he would say, Marty McFly. And my mother was like, Claudia, I think it's that actor who's playing your boyfriend. Just come to the phone. And I'd be like, hello? And he'd like, hey, it's Marty. And I'd say, oh, hi, Marty. Because he and I had actually taken acting class with Stella Adler when he first came to LA to be an actor. Anyway, I digress. My first scene was the last scene when Doc Brown, when I say, Marty, are you okay? You're acting like you haven't seen me in a week. Oh, first I say, how about a ride, mister? Which I didn't realize has another connotation until about 5 years ago.
Let's see, children. No. We'll keep going.
Okay, I just thought it was the coolest way to ask someone to drive you somewhere. I just thought that was, I loved being Jennifer with a boyfriend because I was very shy in high school. So I just, that was like my dream person, to be a cool person with a boyfriend.
But you took photos with Eric Stoltz.
Yeah.
But you never filmed with him.
That is correct. No Jennifer ever filmed with Eric Stoltz.
Okay, so all the rumors on the internet, there's not enough footage of Eric Stoltz to do an entire Stoltz cut. So just putting that out.
Excellent. And may I say, Michael, you are extraordinary. I have done Q&As with cast members all over this world for 25, over 10 years. I have learned more during this Q&A, having information I have never, ever heard before, even from my great buddies that I've done Q&As with, then there's so much new knowledge I've gotten today. So you all take it in, because there's so much I just learned that I didn't know, including the skateboard TV thing and the paw thing, all of it, so much.
Well, let's keep learning.
Okay, your turn.
Okay.
Well, we filmed the farm scenes. If you're local, out in Santa Clarita, there is a Disney ranch where it's completely dark and it's like you're in a different world out there. And I would show up, I think my call time was like 4 o'clock. The sun was just kind of starting to set. And Michael would show up right after Family Ties. And so he would get there about 6. And I would sit in the trailer. The little boy playing my little brother was very young, and kids had to have a certain hour of school if they were under 18 and had a parent on the set. So he was busy with his mom and doing schoolwork. And my ma and pa, they had worked together. They were brilliant actress and actor that had done all kinds of roles, and they were buddies. And it just turned out that somebody I was dating was like best friends with Michael Fox. So the minute he got on set, I ran over and he had his little autograph photos waiting for the little bit part people, and we'll get our photos and everything. And I said, "Oh, I'm Skippy's girlfriend." And he went, "Oh my gosh." Well, we started playing cards. I hung out. He was supposed to be resting, but all of the stand-ins were on set while they were adjusting the lights and doing all the heavy lifting. So we had all this downtime, and we just got to hang out and have fun. And he still is the nicest, most humble, funny person. That is really what you see is what you get. And everybody fell in love with him wherever you went, whether you were the person helping on set or you were the biggest star of the film. He was an absolute delight, and it was a lot of fun, and it just took forever. If you have ever worked on a film, I prefer TV. It goes, come on, we gotta get the shot, let's go, hit your line, hit your mark. Films, oh my Lord. I worked on that for over maybe 2 weeks, and they cut a lot of scenes out. The one line that stuck for me was "shoot him, Pa," which is just so politically incorrect in this climate right now. Shoot him, Pa! And but it just so much fun, and what a great memory, and it's just the gift that keeps on giving. Got it?
So there was a little bit of buzz going on because Eric Stoltz had just done the film The Mask and received a lot of recognition for that part. So I had been excited to work with him, but it was 2 weeks of shooting the skateboard scene, and like Katie's saying, slow pace. Nothing too exciting. Eric was a very dramatic actor. It was fun. It was cool. But then what happened was one night I was sitting in my living room watching television, probably watching Family Ties. And then the phone rings. I hear my mom answer the phone, and she says, "Wait, what? You want him back?" But this time with Michael J. Fox. So I heard that. She's like, "Hey, click. Okay, he'll be there. Click." And she told me, "You're going back to shoot Back to the Future with Michael J. Fox." So I was a huge Family Ties fan. I was such a huge Alex P. Keaton fan that I would wear ties to school. I'm diehard. I'm not even kidding. And I would get beat up for wearing the ties. But I loved him so much, I kept wearing the ties. I really didn't care. So you can imagine when I was such a fanboy, when I heard that, I started bouncing off the walls. I was on top of the sofa, on top of the counter, on top of the kitchen table, just it was pretty amazing. And then, we show up to the set, I'm on fire, I'm so excited to meet my idol. And yeah, it was I don't know, it was surreal. It was like being on cloud 9 when you're 8 years old. And we start doing the skateboard tricks and start getting into the scene, and Michael's just just electric energy. It was like catching lightning in a bottle. Like at that point, going back to the set, everybody on the set knew that they had something super special once Michael had signed up for the film. So it was a very electric type of atmosphere. So long story short, we start shooting, and when it came time for Michael to pick me up off the scooter, I'm just like a little guy, maybe 80 pounds at that point, and he picks me up and we start playing, he's throwing me around. I mean, it literally felt like Superman was picking me up. Yeah, that's how it felt. Yeah, so very impactful time of my life. So. Yeah.
Well, I want to add on to that about Michael, because I was told by many people that on his first night coming to the set, everybody was very excited, and it wasn't that a star was coming. He would go up to everyone and say, "Hi, I'm Michael," and introduce himself and make everybody feel very comfortable. And he did that for the whole film. I actually visited the set when they were filming in the diner, and George was telling Lorraine that he was her density. And I was invited by the first assistant director, who was a very good friend of mine, and I walked around the lot, and I said, "Boy, I would love to work on a movie like this." And standing outside, leaning up against the wall of the diner, was Michael. And he had his guitar, and he was practicing Johnny B. Good. And the second AD and I walked by, and we threw some change down, which he kept. So I think if you translate the change into $25, it's quite a bit of money. But anyway, so because you were all in part 1
And part 2.
well, I'm starting with part 1. I know you were there. What was your what was your favorite moment of your experience on Back to the Future?
It's not the other
Yeah.
Johnny, did you just tell us your favorite moment, or
Yeah, I mean, getting to play literally with your role model when you're 8 years old is it's hard to match, yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's
Okay.
pretty amazing.
Katie, we're going this way.
My favorite part was, my sister remembers this. I don't even really remember, but I called her, and apparently when he storms out of the barn and runs over the pine tree, but Michael Fox didn't do that driving. That was the stunt double. One of the chickens was actually killed.
Oh,
Yeah, so I guess I called my sister and said there was a casualty on the set today and we lost a chicken, but the craft services were on point. Yeah, I just remember the whole experience. When you're actually working, it's really fun, but it's hours until they finally call you, and then even then, it's like, oh no, wait, we gotta move in the shot, or airplane, or actually being able to run the scene was quite a lot of fun.
There's a saying in the business, and it's hurry up and wait. I think my favorite scene part was when Marty and I are on the bench, and he's like trying to put his arm on me, and I'm like, stop it. Because that's kind of who I was. And, wanting to know if his mom really knows that he's taking me to the lake. And nothing would have happened, by the way. I know people have other ideas, but I know. I know. And I just loved our connection and the empathy we had for each other and the caring. And there's something interesting about acting. You meet a total stranger and immediately you're in your character and your boyfriend and girlfriend. it only happens in acting. I can't imagine another scenario where you're in love with someone that 5 minutes earlier was an absolute stranger, and when you're in love with them, you mean it. So it was just a beautiful experience. What are y'all whispering?
I would have done it at least 10 times.
I'm told I'm a measure. So it was my first movie I'd ever done. I'd done a ton of television, and like she was saying, I used to, 10, 12 pages a day on set in television, and maybe a page and a half, if that, in the movie. And I was sort of a straight A student, perfectionist type human being, so I kept thinking, what am I supposed to be doing like during these 4 hours? What should I be doing to be productive? And they weren't asking anything of me, and I was like, And I have photographic memory, and I know how, when I'm a character, I become the character, so what the character is gonna say, it's not like I have to memorize it, because if I am the character, then that's what I'm gonna say anyway, so it makes sense. So. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so supposed to be that what was the question?
Your favorite moment.
Favorite moment. So it's really hard to have a favorite moment in a movie like Back to the Future that you're part of. My favorite moment was when they called me and said we're going to do it again with Michael Fox. That was my favorite moment. But also, I think my favorite moments were trying to take a character that when I got the script, because I did have a script, he didn't have one. We go back and forth with that all over the world. I looked at the amount of words, and I'm doing a word count. Like, that's not a lot of words, man. So my whole thing was, how can I make this small character memorable? Apparently, it worked. But if you go back and you look at the film, every time you see me in the film, then I'm not talking like we're talking about it. It's this density. When the gang walks and everything, you'll see me in the background. Or when the music roll with me, Henry, you see me in the background dancing. I was doing whatever I could to put some attention on me, because that's what this actor was trying to do. The scene where the manure, which is probably, I wouldn't say it was my best scene, but I had the most fun. Zemeckis said, okay, when we were all looking out the window at the chase around the town hall, Zemeckis said, when the car hits and the manure comes out of the truck, I want everybody to run across the street to the scene. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so when you go back and you look at the film, you will see that I'm standing there and I'm sizing up who's next to me. I'm like, everyone is short. That means that their stride is not as long as mine. I'm gonna outrun everybody. So when you look at the film, you will see that I outran everybody and I got there first, and I got there, did not know what to do when I got there. Like, oh crap, I'm the only one here. So I just turned around and went, I didn't even make a sound because there was no microphone there. I just went, and lo and behold, I had to come back to the studio and record that. Woo! And in so doing, going back to record that, they have this thing in film and television called ADR, Automated Dialogue Replacement, where if anything is messed up, you go back and you replace it. And there's an entire industry behind this. And it was going and doing that Back to the Future led me in another direction, where I met a coordinator, and for the past 40 years, I've been doing what is called ADR, or looping, or voiceover work in the background, because of the fact that I beat everybody running to that truck when the manure came out.
And that's the laugh. Yeah!
Yeah! Woo!
It's so cool.
I don't have a favorite moment.
Exactly.
There isn't anything that stands out and you go, well, that was my favorite moment. My favorite moment of this entire, process was leaving New York, driving 3,000 miles, $1,000 in my pocket, getting a job on a film 30 days after I got here, and being able to be a part of this huge family that over time has continued to be our family. We're all still friends and family, and when we see each other, it's as if we just worked together yesterday. So my favorite moment is my whole experience with all three of these films, but then on a broader sense, my entire life since then, because it's gone exactly as I could ever have hoped.
Mr. Wells, Junior.
I can't follow that.
Good.
Okay.
I've been thinking about that.
I know you gave us some time. I've been thinking too, and it's like 3. Okay. First one, getting out of the car when they put Marty in the trunk, the gang is running by and they say, "Oh my God, they spooked." I said, "Who you calling?" Wasn't not me saying, "Who you calling?" Speak Peckerwood. But when they ran by, I said, "Get home to your mama, boy," and I popped J.J. Cohn upside the head, and that was not in the script. Second moment, seeing backstage where I have to call my cousin Chuck on the phone. Chuck, this is Mark, your cousin Marvin Berry. You want to say, listen to this? One take. So that was great at the end of the day. And of course, my last favorite moment was when I went to the premiere, and I had never heard, I recorded the song, but I had never heard the whole thing put together with the soundtrack. And all of a sudden, this symphony comes in, and the entire audience is cheering and clapping. That was like magic. I got to be a part of cinema history, so thank you very much.
Just to take you back to the beginning and the meeting situation, that is why they asked me if I could sing in that meeting. I should have said yes. Okay, I'll take that.
And a couple of you guys came back for part 2. And you had to do the same thing you did in part 1. And you want to...
The story. So in 2, Marty comes back and has to stop the gang, so he has to climb over the top of the band there in the prom, the Jam It on the Sea dance. Well, when they shot it, there's somebody standing in for Marty on stage. It's from a different angle, and Michael J. Fox is crawling up and over. I'm coming off stage to make the phone call, and Marvin Berry is supposed to see the guy on stage and see the guy up top, and then go, nah, and then make the phone call. Well, it was cut. And that's okay.
Okay. And Charlie, you were probably that guy up in the rafters.
Now, Mike did some tight stuff up there, but yeah, I was the guy climbing along up top.
And Don, you didn't play Goldie in part 2, but you played a relative.
So I've got a question for you, Mr. Historian, because I don't really know why I'm in Back to the Future 2. Seriously, the entirety of the film, what they call principal photography, was done. All the credits that rolled for the film were done. If you go back and look at Back to the Future 2, my name is nowhere in the credits. Don't worry, I still get paid. So everything was done, and I got a call from Universal they wanted me to do this part. They wound up being Goldie Wilson III, and I was really kind of upset because I was like, I had heard that Back to the Future 2 was in production. I had heard that he was working, and I'm like, I was in Back to the Future. Why am I not in the sequel? Why am I not in the sequel? You know, I had gotten over it. Then I got the call that they wanted me to do this role. And I was pissed off at Back to the Future, so I told them no.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I told them no, I told them to pound sand. This is how angry I was that I wasn't in Back to the Future 2, because I was, after all, Mayor Goldie Wilson. Right. So they called back, and I went, oh, okay, this could be interesting. So I threw a number out that I knew that they wouldn't pay me, and they paid me. So my question to you is, I don't know where that role came from. I don't know. I thought it was because Earl Scheib was supposed to have done it, but he had passed away, so they wanted somebody else to do it. But the film was finished.
Yeah.
And I did research, and Earl Scheib is still alive. Well, was still alive. So, Mr. Historian, why am I in that film? How did I get in that film?
Well, because you were a popular character in part 1, and people wanted you. They wanted a Wilson, be it Goldie or Goldie III. How's that?
Terrible. Because
I don't
the
know.
film was finished.
Well, you know, personally, I went back because we started 3, and I went to Bob Gale. I said, you know what? Where's Don Fullilove? Why isn't Don Fullilove in there?
Now, see, I believe that. Okay, thank you. Now I know. Mystery solved.
And there you go.
No
No, we were
one.
working on 3.
I don't.
At the
Well,
time,
maybe he was.
post production.
But no one up here was in 3.
Yes, I was in 3.
Well, and you.
Wait, what were you in 3, Michael? Tell your story of being in 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
No,
We were up in Northern California. They had built Hill Valley up from the ground up, and it was spectacular. And everybody, they had moved the set away from all of the trucks and the trailers because they wanted people to have that ambiance while they were working. And I saw all these people walking around in great cowboy garb and having a great time. And I went to Bob Gale. I said, hey, I want to be a cowboy.
Aww.
And he said, well, let me check with the Megas. And then he comes back and said, okay, yeah, you're in. And there were 4 townspeople who greeted Marty on that walk down the street. And I was townsman number 1. So, top billing in townsman order. Where I uttered the immortal line.
Here it is.
Say good morning, Mr. Eastwood.
Yeah!
Do you have a picture of you on your table so I can buy your autograph?
I think so. But that's my new one-man show. Say good morning, Mr. Eastwood. So you just saw it, the first performance.
Yeah.
I love this.
It was a great time, and I think we all have our love for Back to the Future. And I don't know how much time we have left, but I thought maybe it would be nice to have.
I think it was 4 more hours.
Who's got some best? Well, before we do, I want to.
Let's go back to the beginning of this whole Q&A when I said, if you look like you want to ask a question, you're scared, I'm coming right to you.
There you go. Now, I want to preface it. You may not ask about a Back to the Future Part 4. There will be no Part 4.
Nope.
There will be no prequel. There will be no sequel. There will be no spin-off shows. We won't have Biff's Place. Or It's Goldie. So, anything else?
Or Golden Guys.
Or Goldie. Yeah.
Oh, that was good, Claudia.
So, who's got a question?
All right, now I'm scanning faces because hands didn't go out. You know what? You tried to look down.
Nobody's got a
You
question.
tried to look down. That man in gray tried to look down and avoid eye contact. I know you want to ask something.
You have a question?
Want me to ask?
Yeah, please. Stand up.
I think a lot of you guys were like part of Back to the Future. When did you know when you were like first known outside? Like, oh my God, I love like you guys recognized me. Like, what was that like?
For me, because I've been starring in so many television series, when I was in high school and I'd go to lunch and someone would come up and ask me for my autograph, I was accustomed to it. Or when I would walk down the street and all of a sudden paparazzi was taking my pictures, I was actually accustomed to it. So when Back to the Future came out, I started in another television series, and so I didn't really experience it. My only thing I experienced was, hey, guess what? To my friends, I'd say, I can call any movie theater I want and get us in through the back door. That's all I experienced because I was on set all the time. And then after that, I was dealing with my mom. So I experienced none of it until 20 years ago. And it gets more and more and more every single year. And on the internet, and I Googled my name once on the internet, like 25, 26 years ago, and there was all of these websites like, what happened to Claudia Wells? And what happened to Claudia Wells? All over the world, they're all chatting, but I don't know how to use a computer. So I'm like trying to figure out how to say, I'm right here, I'm good. But I couldn't figure it out. And then there's a website, Claudia Wells is dead. And I'm like, No, I'm not. So, anyway, I'm good. I promise.
Anybody else? Gentlemen?
Are any Eric scenes anywhere in the movie?
No. Well, okay. Okay, I'm gonna answer this because this has gone on a long time on social media. And I am just so tired of answering it. Everybody believes, because there's a lot of, I heard, or, I know, some guy told me that it's Eric's fist that punches Biff in the dining room. Now, I happen to have a few friends, one of them being Harry Karamitis, who was one of the 2 editors on the film. And I said, Harry, is Eric Stoltz still in the film somewhere? And he said, yes, he is. It's not the diner, but I'm not going to tell you where it is. I'm not going to tell anyone where it is. So that secret is going with Harry.
Wow. Interesting.
But it's not.
So that wasn't his
But
foot
it's-
either then? The
What's
foot,
that?
the trip in the diner, that wasn't his foot either?
So
No.
it wasn't in the
Nothing
diner.
of Eric Stoltz was in that diner.
Wow, how'd that get started?
Rumor.
That's
Some
so
people,
weird.
hey, I'll start this. And
Like
the
Claudia
question-
Wells is dead.
Yeah, and the question just gets asked over and over
Thomas
and over
Wilson
again.
sits
I might have passed that rumor around a little bit.
Did you
Hey,
start it?
this is something.
started, but I might have
Yeah,
said
well,
it in 1 or 2 comments.
I was an oldie, and I know, maybe.
That's right, that was Eric Stoltz's foot.
That's where I
So does he still get paid?
I'm sorry?
So does he still get through?
Eric Stoltz?
Yeah.
No.
Being in it?
If your face doesn't show that
He
you
has to be a discernible party line.
He was paid to leave, but nothing else. No residuals, any of that stuff. Yes, sir.
Did you get to keep anything from the film?
What's that?
Did you get to keep anything?
Keep anything? Who stole wardrobe?
Well, let me see, how much money you got, little man? I got some stuff for sale. I have Goldie's tooth. They sent it, that was a special tooth that was made. The makeup guy sent me to his dentist in Beverly Hills and they made a fake tooth. I've got that tooth. I've got every call sheet the call sheet is basically the sheet for your next day's work. And I have every call sheet with Eric Stoltz's name on it, something that is in the dustbin of history that not too many people have. I have a little bit of wardrobe. I won't say what that is because Universal has long arms. But throughout the years, I've collected all types of memorabilia and stuff from, guys like yourselves and so on, so.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I had no idea. It was just a game. It was like, bye. Go home.
I have the original Clock Tower flyer, and you can buy 2 for the price of 1.
Oh.
And I signed. I love that I signed. My handwriting ended up on the whole screen. That was the most exciting moment. But like Goldie said, I've been collecting over the years, and I have, like all over the world, I've been collecting. So I am not a thief. I did not take anything from the set, but over the years, I've been collecting a lot. And I have personal things from that era.
Well, speaking of Universal having a long arm, I had a hoverboard that was given to me by Bob Gale. And a few years back in 2010 or so, it had been in the back of my closet for a very long time. And I thought, you know what, maybe somebody would like to put it in their house in a plastic thing and enjoy it. I love having it. But I put it up for auction with an auction house because I was working with them on doing publicity for them. And I called Bob Gale to make sure he wouldn't be upset if I did this. And he said, I will give you a letter of authenticity for it. We listed it, and then the auction house got a letter from Universal's attorneys saying that the hoverboard belonged to them, and they wanted it back.
No!
Yes, Bob Gale wrote another letter to the auction house saying, I gave that hoverboard to Michael Clasterin. It is his, and he can do anything he once with it. And, yeah, and that was, you know, an amazing thing. And I did sell it.
Man, that thing would bring in a pretty penny right now.
Yeah, oh, and interestingly, I've seen the same hoverboard auctioned again, because I know exactly which one it is. And it's gotten quite a bit more over the years.
Was it the one on set or just the original wood one?
No, Charlie had one of the original wood ones.
I kept the only hoverboard that Mike and I ever flew. So I was flying every day on this thing along with Mike, and I would take it home with me at night because of the wires on the hoverboard were piano wire, and if they got even the slightest nick in them, when I'm being flung around by a crane, they'll snap pretty easily. So I would keep it. I would take it. I put it in the trunk of my car. I'd go home. I'd come back the next day. Blah blah. No more glass. And at the end of it, when we were all done flying the hoverboard, I was leaving. I had the hoverboard on my arm, and I asked Bob, I said, "Can I take the hoverboard?" It kind of been my buddy throughout this whole movie. He went, "Yeah, sure, take it." So I kept it. Same thing. Sat on the floor of my wife's closet for God knows how long. My son took it to school for show and tell. He just never really thought anything about it. And then my daughter framed it in a big, what do they call them? Window boxes?
Yeah.
With a bunch of Back to the Future stuff. And put it up on the wall in my office. So every day I'm in my office, I'm sitting here looking at this hoverboard, thinking to myself, I got to the point where I was like, what am I going to do with this thing? If I die, my kids are going to get it, but what are they going to do? Cut it in 3 pieces? They're all going to want it. So how do you reconcile that? So I talked to them about it, and I said, I think the best thing to do with the board is to auction it off and give half the money to Mike's foundation.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's good. So that's what we did. It has all the wires on it, the harnesses went with it, everything. So, yeah. I miss it. I have pictures of it though, so.
I didn't give Michael any money. I mean, on my hoverboard. But I've given him other things.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Yes, sir.
Do any of you have a favorite Michael J. Fox moment?
Favorite Michael J. Fox moment?
Dude, I could talk to you all day long, but I'm gonna let some of these other people comment.
Well, country to table.
He's an incredible guy. He's just positive and kind and uplifting and everything you hope he is what he is.
That's the truth.
I beat him in poker. And I probably shouldn't say this, but at the time, he really liked Moosehead beer. He was Canadian.
He's a Canadian.
Yeah, we had so much fun. Everybody had fun. He is just a very special, wonderful person that just everything's laughs and a good time and special.
When you were talking about beer, I just remembered the moment that I hadn't shared with anybody. It's when we were shooting at the school, the scene with the car. We were in his trailer, and Michael used to drink beer and smoke cigarettes. And we got to smoke cigarettes and drink beer in his trailer, and it was just like we were hanging out with a friend.
That was Michael.
I never got it. I was never.
He owes me $30. We were playing handball.
Anybody else? Come on, speak up. There we go.
Actually, one thing is in the deleted scene when he gets using the prop bottle when he's sitting in the car, did he genuinely know that there was alcohol in it? Because he did say that he was drinking beer before he shot the scene.
No, that was a prank by the prop department, I believe, who put real alcohol in there. And yes, Michael was caught off guard.
So that's when he spit it out?
Well, no, he spit it out in the
Right, yeah.
movie, but it wasn't that. He was prepared, because you do a spit take here. You got
I
to
get it.
right.
Like, he knows he's great.
Yeah, if you went and saw the movie in 4DX, where the chairs move.
We just saw it.
Oh, I heard about
Oh
that.
my God, have any of you seen it in 40X? It's crazy.
Yeah.
And you might know when Michael did that spit take.
Oh, did
The
everyone
audience
get
felt
wet?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a great time, yes.
I have a question. Is any of the China Under the Sea dance filmed at the Jim Burbank does?
The Enchantment Under the Sea dance was filmed at a church
Okay.
on Franklin.
Franklin.
And
And it's
yeah,
still there.
still there, and they're still doing Enchantment Under the Sea dances every now and then.
We're in time, I believe, and so we don't want to lose you all here because we will all be at tables.
Yes.
And if you haven't been there, we would love to see you shortly when we finish and go around the corner.
And thank you very much.
One more thing. I know, and I speak for everybody, that we are privileged to be here and speak with you guys. Because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here.
Absolutely.
And, so, this will answer any questions you have. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, guys.